Alright guys, just this evening had a game of War Machine and Hordes with my favourite opponent Josh at home on a Monday night as normal, and we played the Diversion scenario. I believe that's what it's called. So looking at this first photo, our armies have not been deployed yet, but you can see two bluish little gems in the middle of the table. Those are the control zones. So if you measure I think 4 inches around those, the point of the game is to contest the zone in your opponent's side of the board while capturing one of the flags. Now we use small bases for the flags. That's incorrect. You meant to use medium bases. We just didn't have any medium bases on hand. Also, it's a radial deployment, so one of us is going to deploy in the top left of the table, the other one down on the top right. Next image, this is the setup, and Josh is at bottom left with his Cygnar. He's got a Stormstrider. He's used this a couple of times against me before, but it's only just put it together. Really can't wait to see the great job he does with the little wharf base and the painting that he inevitably pull off. But this is an eStryker list, and he's got quite a lot of interesting choices there. I mean, obviously the Stormstrider is one of them, but Rowdy, Stormclad. Take a look at the video description, obviously, for the exact lists. Next photo is my deployment. I've got the Bloodtrackers right on the left, and I'm planning something interesting with the Bloodtrackers. What I want to do here is keep most of my squishiest stuff away from his Black 13th and eEiryss, which will inevitably be hanging around the forest opposite, the other side of the table. So these guys are just going to run around and hopefully stay out of the game until they're needed, rather than being blasted by the AoEs of Mage Storm and the Stormstrider itself once those units come within stealth range. Next image, though, the main point of today's interest is Cassius. This will be my very first game using Cassius, the Oathkeeper, and Wormwood. And as you can see here, almost all of my army's advanced deployment, including the tree itself, Druids, Stones, Bloodtrackers, and I've got the Wolds and Stalker Gorax in the background with Cassius himself. Many people regard Cassius as the weakest circle caster, and they regard him as that because he's got some bad matchups and because the tree is such a liability for him to get killed and assassinated. I have heard some opinions from some people that he's one of the better casters, but really, I mean, the jury's out. What really matters is how well you play the caster, how well he goes in your little meta, gaming meta situation, and how much you enjoy playing him. And so far I'm really intrigued about him, so I'm going to be studying him intensely. Next photo, Josh's eStryker list deployed as such. He's got the Journeyman and Arlan in the background there, really just waiting to lend a lot of support to the big hitters up front. Next photo, his other side of the deployment, he's got the Black 13th and obviously eEiryss. Planning on going through the forest and just hanging there because the Black 13th have the stealth ability thanks to Prowl while they're in there, so that's something he's going to be taking advantage of. Next image, there's eEiryss herself. Just got a really blurry photo of her thanks to the lighting, but she is going to be moving out as well. And hopefully avoiding his Warjacks, because she's got that Arcane Disruption or whatever it is rule where if they begin their activation too close to her or whatever, they can't have focus allocated to them. Next photo, Josh does take the first turn moving out and generally not accomplishing much in his first turn. Only thing that's notable that I'll say here is that he's put Arcane Shield on the Stormstrider and kept his Journeyman Warcaster way back in the corner. And I think Josh has done this because the last couple of games I played against the Stormstrider, I obliterated the Stormstrider very early and didn't allow him to use it very much, and I think he's Arcane Shielded it for that reason. The other thing is that because it's quite a tough little cookie, once it's got that there, he'll get more mileage out of it, and it's going to be a big target anyway. I've actually prayed it with the Bloodtrackers, which is all the more reason to put Arcane Shield on that particular unit. Next image, here's my first turn moving out with everybody. Now, a few things to note here. I've got a few clouds up front with the Druids. Everybody's immune to magic thanks to the Druids, and most of my army's stealthed or defense 18 against shooting. So, looking pretty good. Even the Gorax is on a hill in a cloud. Cassius himself is in the back. I've got Wormwood in, just clipping a forest so he can get his Prowl activated. The only thing I'm worried about is Megalith. I'm just hanging him back too far. The decision I've made here to keep him back is because if Josh moves his Stormstrider forward, he can just shoot at Megalith, who's easily visible, will have low defense, and then he'll be able to arc the lightning blasts to nearby, shifting stones or whatever. Next image, here's the location of the Wolf Stalker and the Bloodtrackers, and just keeping him on the edge, he'll easily be able to rush out and smash something, especially if I force bolt it now I'm close to my lines. But the Bloodtrackers just going to continue with their plan of walking around the side of the battlefield. Next image, Josh's retaliating turn fires off a scary Mage Blast, rolls a 6 for the deviation, but only 1 for the distance, so it just lands right in front of my troops here, and obviously not killing any of them, but that's going to be really annoying if he lands any hits with that, because it's just an instant death to any of the Druids that are clipped by it. Note that it's the 4-inch template, so it's there's the outer ring, the inner ring, just beneath the numbers that you're looking at for the template size. Next image, here's the rest of his follow-up here. He's got the Stormclad out in front and a Rowdy going around the right-hand flank now. Not looking at Rowdy too intently here, because due to that wall, I can't really force bolt him around much or get the Stalker involved. I can only try and move Cassius around and cast a spell at him. But, you know, as he was doing his turn, I'm looking intently at the Stormclad. With Circle, it's quite a good idea to, you know, do what Circle does best, and the thing that defines and characterizes Circle, which is to strike at something that you can hit and that you can destroy, and then prevent your opponent from retaliating. And in this case, it's going to be the Stormclad. The Druids are going to be able to move up, force bolt it close to my lines, and I can teleport something over, or just use the Stalker to charge it and smash it to bits after I've cast Curse of Shadows as well. The Lancer is over behind a wall, but he won't be able to charge over it, so that will keep me safe from the Lancer for the time being. Next image, my plan indeed does go ahead with the Druids casting Force Bolts onto the Stormclad, Curse of Shadows there as well from some Geomancying Woldwarden, I think, and the Stalker does indeed move up and smashes it. He actually does get teleported by the, the stones, so he does indeed have the Claw in range as well. And due to Curse of Shadows and him being knocked down by the Force Bolts, I actually managed to destroy him with 2 Fury to spare, so I cast Lightning Strike. Now, having a read of the rules, I don't think that I was doing it wrong, but I believe that Lightning Strike means that if you've killed anybody during your activation, and then you cast Lightning Strike and your activation ends, you're allowed to get the benefits of Lightning Strike by moving 6 inches, which is what I did. So next photo, I've moved 6 inches towards the Stormclad. The reason I've done this is because I've already got 10 points worth out of the Stalker, so I've done a bit of a trade here. And for him to kill the Stalker, he'll have to get guys around the wall. He may have to move the Stormclad out, Stormstrider out of the way. And if he moves too far away, I'll get a free strike. And of course, if he just gunfighters, you know, his shooting into the Stalker, should be able to survive that. And I'll take up a lot of his activations. In the meantime, my army's getting into position to do another strike on him and sort of whittle him down until I'm definitely up in material. Next image, Cassius moves over here to try and cast a Hellmouth on Rowdy, which would draw in some of his Sword Knights and destroy them, but he was out of range after checking his control, so he went for a, he went for a, what's the name of that spell that forfeits their movement or their action? I can't quite remember. Stranglehold, but missed, unluckily, rolling a 1 or a 3 or something, like 2 or 3 something. So he had to use his remaining 2 Fury to get himself teleported back out with Unseen Path. Next image, this is the end of the circle turn, basically. That Stormclad in the middle is a hulking wreck, and everybody else is just hankered down in the vortex clouds, so to speak. Even Cassius just hanging out behind one of them so he can't get shot at. Next image, the Bloodtrackers have moved away 14 inches, and this is turning into be a very interesting situation. I've never done this with the Bloodtrackers before, but apparently it's quite a good tactic to go right around the flanks and really just hold them in reserve until you can see a really good position. And what I like about this is because my army's so safe from defense in the middle, because he's just going to have to waste an activation killing the Stalker, or a series of activations. I can continue to move around to the left and to the left and the left, and if he starts to engage me on this front, I can really bash him up in the middle, while keeping the Bloodtrackers either safe or doing some damage on their own. But if he ignores the Bloodtrackers, I can actually get into his back line, start shooting at his solos, and really causing a lot of havoc. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. Next image, Josh moves forward with his Black 13th and shoots some shots into the combat involving the Stalker, but misses most of them, doing a little bit of damage, but just not enough really to make a big difference there. Next image, he's moved Runewood, Arlan Runewood, or whatever his name is, into the combat with the Stalker, missing his attack. And he's using a Stormblade to represent the Runewood guy, as you have probably noticed. Next image, Striker also comes in, moving in with Rowdy as well. Striker feats at this point. He's used some damage to take out most of the Stalker's life, and with his feet activating, Runewood gets another attack, which does chop up the Stalker. So Stalker does go down, but I've actually drawn in all of these models to take care of it, and I've actually tempted Josh to waste his feet. So I knew that I had an upper hand in this game, and the Stalker had really done an amazing job just putting the Cygnar into such a terrible position. Next image, to make things worse, Josh has actually run his his sword knights into the forest, which I thought was a ridiculous move. The reason why he's done this is because he wanted to get away from the Bloodtrackers creeping around the flank, so already I've actually forced him to do something different with the Bloodtrackers, or at least tempted him to. But if I kill Runewood in my next turn, which I'm hoping to, these sword knights will be stuck and won't have Pathfinder, so that will actually put me into an even better position. Next image, my turn, the Bloodtrackers run over, and I decide not to move in and shoot, but this puts me in a position where I can actually move in my next turn and just throw javelins at just about anything I want from behind his lines, maybe even getting rear arc throws in, which would be beautiful. And as you can see, he's got his Journeyman Warcast right in the corner, which I expect will probably run towards the other corner now that he knows that I'm coming for him. But if he just stands there, all I'm going to do is just move over with my Bloodtrackers and kill him, and that will remove Arcane Shield from the Stormstrider. Next image, Megalith activates and tramples over here, casts Undergrowth, and then Geomancies to try and get Curse of Shadows on Rowdy, which he does. This is going to be quite interesting because if I manage to force bolt either of these models close into Megalith's Undergrowth range, it'll make them much easier to deal with. Next image, the Druids get into position, moving around to the left, and it's force bolt time, force bolting out, and first of all nailing Runewood. They managed to actually take him out. Can't quite remember what I ended up killing with